My name is Camille Porter. I am 30 years old, and the night my sister slammed a glass door so recklessly it shattered into me, I woke up in a hospital bed, staring at parents who looked less worried about losing me and more afraid of what the X-rays would reveal. The first thing I remember is the sound, the deafening crash of glass breaking, then silence, then the slow rush of ringing in my ears. Pain seared through my head and the warm trickle of blood slid down my temple. My vision blurred, red streaks blotting out the world. The next thing I knew, there were voices, panicked, muffled, far away. My father's sharp tone, my mother's gasping breaths, and my sister's hysterical sobs. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Then darkness. When I opened my eyes again, the world smelled like antiseptic and latex gloves. Beeping monitors filled the room, cold fluorescent lights glaring down at me. My throat was dry, my body heavy. I blinked, fighting the haze, until shapes sharpened into faces. My parents sat at the edge of the hospital bed. But what froze me wasn't their presence, it was their expressions. Not relief. Not concern. Fear. If you're watching this, drop a comment. Hit like and subscribe. Because what I discovered after waking up in that hospital bed wasn't just betrayal, it was a truth my family wanted buried. I shifted weakly against the pillow, my voice hoarse. What happened? My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father cleared his throat too quickly. You had an accident. Just rest. But I remembered. The sound of glass shattering. My sister screaming. Blood beneath my head. This wasn't an accident. I tried again, forcing the words through the dryness in my throat. Where's Claire? My father's jaw clenched. She's at home. She's upset. Upset? I almost laughed. If it hadn't hurt so much. I was the one lying in a hospital bed with bandages wrapping my skull, yet Claire was the one they comforted. Memories bled back in fragments. The argument. Claire storming out, fury written across her face. Her hand on the door, slamming it so hard the glass cracked, then burst. Shards raining like knives. One catching my head, sending me crumpling to the floor. I could still hear the sickening thud. The rush of warmth. The way everything went dark. And now my parents sat here whispering to each other in tones too low for me to catch. My mother leaned close to my father, her words a sharp hiss. What if the X-rays show too much? What if they find out? Find out what? I shifted again, my voice stronger this time. Show what? What are you talking about? Their eyes snapped to me. My mother stammered, nothing, sweetheart. Don't strain yourself. But the fear in her voice was unmistakable. And in that moment I realized the truth. They weren't afraid of losing me. They were afraid of what I would remember. I closed my eyes against the sting of betrayal, my pulse hammering in my ears. For 30 years I had believed that no matter what, my parents would protect me. But now, lying broken in a hospital bed, I saw it clearly. They didn't want the truth. They wanted my silence. And I wasn't sure I could give it to them. The following morning, the nurse wheeled in a tray of bland hospital breakfast. Scrambled eggs that tasted like cardboard and lukewarm coffee. But it wasn't the food that made my stomach churn. It was the way my parents avoided my eyes as the nurse adjusted the four in my arm. When she left, the room fell into that suffocating silence again. My mother sat with her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. My father stared at the muted television on the wall, pretending to care about the news anchor's empty words. Finally, I broke the silence. My voice was raspier than I intended. How bad was it? My mother flinched. My father cleared his throat. You had a concussion. Some cuts. They stitched you up. You'll be fine. But I didn't miss the way his eyes flicked toward the folder on the counter, the one with my scans and reports. I shifted on the bed, pain throbbing in my skull. And Claire? Where is she now? My mother finally spoke, her voice trembling. She feels awful. She didn't mean for this to happen. You know how temperamental she can be. Temperamental. That was the word they always used. When she totaled my car at 17 after sneaking out, it was because she was temperamental. When she'd maxed out my credit card behind my back, it was because she was temperamental. And now, when she'd slammed a door hard enough to put me in the hospital, they still shielded her with that word. I remembered being 10, the smell of cinnamon cookies in the kitchen when Claire spilled milk all over my homework. I had cried, panicked, while Dad chuckled and ruffled her hair. She didn't mean it. Don't be so sensitive, Camille. Sensitive. Temperamental. 2 words that had excused a lifetime of cruelty. I turned my face toward the window, the sunlight glaring off the glass. You're not worried about me. You're worried about her. My father's voice hardened. That's not true. But I could hear the crack in his certainty. I pushed myself upright, ignoring the dizziness. Then why did Mom whisper about the X-rays? What are you hiding from me? They froze. My mother's eyes widened, darting to my father, who glared at her like she had betrayed him. Camille, he said slowly, you hit your head. You're confused. But the way his voice wavered betrayed him. The door creaked open then and the doctor stepped in. He was tall, gray-haired, his glasses perched low on his nose as he flipped through the chart. Good morning, Camille. How are you feeling? Like I've been hit by a truck, I muttered. He gave a sympathetic smile, then glanced at my parents. Could I speak with her privately? My father stiffened. We're her parents. We stay. The doctor raised an eyebrow. She's 30 years old. It's her choice. For the first time since I woke up, I felt control return to me. I met the doctor's eyes. I'd like them to leave. The silence was heavy. My father's jaw clenched, my mother's lips parted like she wanted to beg me to reconsider. But I didn't flinch. After a long moment, they stood, stiff and reluctant, and left the room. The doctor pulled a chair close to my bed, lowering his voice. Camille, your scans show more than a simple concussion. There are signs of repeated trauma. Old fractures that healed incorrectly. My blood ran cold. What? He studied me carefully. Have you had other head injuries before? Ones you didn't seek treatment for? Memories flashed. Fights with Claire, her shoving me against walls, my parents telling me to shake it off. Nights when headaches made me cry only for Mom to say, don't exaggerate, you'll be fine. My throat closed. I don't know. The doctor's eyes softened. Camille, I need you to understand. These injuries aren't all new. Some of them are years old. I gripped the blanket, my pulse hammering in my ears. My parents weren't just afraid of the accident. They were afraid the X-rays would reveal a lifetime of things they had buried. The doctor's words hung heavy in the air. Old fractures. Years of trauma. My mind spun, trying to connect dots I had deliberately ignored all my life. When he left, the silence pressed in again, thicker than the hospital blanket pulled over me. I could still hear his warning in my head. These injuries aren't all new. And suddenly I remembered. I was 12. Claire and I had been fighting in the hallway. She shoved me into the corner of the doorframe so hard I saw stars. I cried for hours with a pounding headache. Mom pressed an ice pack to my head and whispered, don't tell your father. He'll be upset with Claire. I was 17. Claire, furious after I wore her sweater without asking, threw a picture frame at me. It missed, shattering against the wall, but a shard cut my forehead. I wanted to go to the ER. Dad said, it's a scratch. Don't embarrass the family over nothing. Now those memories bled into the present, my temples throbbing, the doctor's voice echoing. Not all new. When my parents came back into the room, their expressions were stiff, guarded. I didn't waste time. What else are you hiding from me? My voice was low, steady, sharper than I felt inside. Mom blinked rapidly, her hands twisting in her lap. Dad crossed his arms, his face hard. You don't need to dredge up the past. It was an accident, Camille. Leave it alone. Leave it alone? I snapped, anger rising like fire in my chest. You've been leaving it alone for decades. Every bruise, every headache, every cut. And you told me to be quiet. Mom's eyes welled with tears. We only wanted to protect your sister. She never meant. Never meant. I laughed bitterly, the sound hollow. She never meant to, but she always did. And you let her. You let her hurt me, and then you silenced me to keep her safe. The monitor beeped faster, matching the pounding in my head. Dad's voice grew louder. You're twisting this. Families fight. Siblings fight. You always exaggerate. You always have. The words struck a nerve. I remembered being 8 years old, Claire pushing me off my bike, gravel embedding in my knees. I cried while Dad pulled me up and hissed, "Stop making a scene." Claire didn't mean it. It wasn't exaggeration. It was erasure. And I had lived under it my whole life. I leaned forward, ignoring the ache in my skull. Do you know what the doctor said? He said my x-rays show old fractures. That means this didn't start with one accident. It means this has been happening for years. And you said nothing. Mom's tears spilled over. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. Dad stood, his face dark with fury. You'll keep your mouth shut, Camille. Do you hear me? Do not take this outside this family. There was the truth under all their fear. They weren't terrified for me. They were terrified the world would finally see them for what they were. Enablers. I sank back against the pillow, my body weak but my voice strong. You can't silence me anymore. The scans speak louder than you ever let me. For a moment the room was still, the tension sharp enough to cut. Mom sobbed quietly. Dad glared like he wanted to tear the words from my throat. But it was too late. Because I wasn't 12 anymore. And this time I wasn't going to be quiet. Somewhere in the hallway I could hear Claire's voice approaching. My heart clenched, fury and dread colliding in my chest. Because if the x-rays exposed my parents' silence, Claire's presence was about to expose everything else. The door swung open and there she was, Claire. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, her makeup smudged, her eyes red from crying. She clutched her phone in one hand like it was a lifeline. For a moment she just stood there staring at me in the bed. Her lips parted but no sound came out. Finally she whispered, Camille. I'm sorry. Sorry. The word rattled around my skull, hollow and meaningless. I stared at her, my chest tight. Sorry doesn't undo what you did. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I didn't mean to. I cut her off, my voice rising. That's the story of our lives, isn't it? He never meant to. But somehow I'm always the one bleeding, always the one with scars, always the one told to stay silent so you don't face the consequences. She flinched, her shoulders curling inward. For once Claire looked small. Weak. But all I could see was every time I had been told to carry her mistakes. A memory surged forward, sharp and raw. I was 22, coming home late from my shift. Claire had thrown a party in our apartment. When the landlord found out, he threatened eviction. My parents didn't scold her. They handed me the responsibility. I drained my savings to cover the damages. And when I cried to Mom, she whispered, "Be patient with her. She's fragile." Fragile. That word had been my prison. Claire stepped closer to the bed, her voice trembling. I never wanted to hurt you. You're my sister. I let out a bitter laugh. Sisters don't shatter glass doors on each other. Sisters don't leave scars and then hide behind Mom and Dad's protection. Sisters don't put each other in hospital beds. The monitor beside me beeped faster, matching the rhythm of my pulse. Dad barked, "That's enough, Camille. She's here to apologize. Show some grace." I turned my glare on him, my voice sharp. Grace? I've shown grace my entire life. And look where it got me. Claire's lip trembled. What do you want me to say? That I'm a monster? That I deserve this guilt? I locked eyes with her, my voice steady and cold. No. I want you to admit the truth. That you've hurt me for years. That you knew it and you never stopped. And that Mom and Dad covered for you because it was easier than facing what you are. Her breath caught. Mom sobbed quietly into her hands. Dad's face turned to stone. But Claire said nothing. The silence that followed was the loudest sound of all. I sank back against the pillow, exhaustion washing over me. But beneath it, fury still burned. You see these bandages? I whispered. The doctor said I was lucky to wake up. But the real miracle isn't that I survived this. It's that I survived you. Claire broke then, collapsing into the chair by the bed, sobbing. Mom rushed to her side, holding her, whispering comforts. Always comforting her. Not me. Never me. I turned my face toward the window, tears stinging my own eyes. But mine weren't from guilt. They were from release. Because finally I had said the words I'd swallowed for decades. My father's voice cut through the sobs, low and sharp. Camille. Not another word about this. Do you understand me? If you tell anyone outside this family, you'll regret it. I turned my head back toward him slowly, meeting his glare with fire of my own. No, Dad, I said softly, my voice steady as steel. The only thing I regret is staying quiet this long. The room froze, my words hanging in the air like a blade. And for the first time I saw fear not just in Claire's eyes, but in his. The fear in Dad's eyes lasted only a second before his mask snapped back into place. He straightened his shoulders, his voice booming like thunder. You think you can defy this family and walk away? You think the world will believe you, a bitter daughter with a history of exaggerating, over us? I felt the familiar sting in my chest, the same one I'd felt 1,000 times before. The sting of being dismissed, erased, silenced. But this time I didn't shrink. I leaned forward, my bandaged head throbbing, my voice icy. It won't matter what you say. Because the X-rays already told the story you tried to bury. Claire sobbed harder in the chair, her hands trembling as she covered her face. Mom stroked her hair, whispering, "Shh, baby, it's okay. Don't listen to her." The sight made me laugh bitterly. Of course. Comfort the one who put me here. Why change the pattern now? Mom's voice cracked, pleading. Camille, please. This will ruin us. Do you really want to tear this family apart? Tear it apart? The memory slammed into me. The night I was 25, sitting in urgent care with bruised ribs after Claire shoved me during an argument. I'd begged Mom to stay with me, but she chose to drive Claire home instead. That was the night I realized the family was already broken. It just wasn't broken for Claire. I swallowed hard, my voice firm. It's already torn, Mom. You just never wanted to look at the pieces. The doctor entered again, holding a clipboard. My parents stiffened, their eyes darting to him nervously. He gave me a quick smile. Camille, we'll need to keep you for another night. The scans show some swelling, but it's stable. I nodded, but I didn't miss how my parents exchanged a quick, panicked glance. The doctor turned to leave, but I caught his sleeve. Doctor, would it be possible to have copies of my X-rays and reports? He hesitated. They're normally sent to your primary physician, but yes, we can provide them upon request. My father barked. That won't be necessary. The doctor raised his brows. It's her right as a patient. I locked eyes with my father as I answered. Yes. Please give me copies. After the doctor left, Dad's voice dropped to a low growl. You wouldn't dare take this outside. I held his gaze. Watch me. The monitor beeped steadily beside me, a rhythm that seemed to match the new strength in my chest. Claire peeked at me through her tears, her voice barely audible. Camille, please don't. I'll change. I'll be better. I shook my head slowly. You've had 30 years to change. You never did. And every time you hurt me, Mom and Dad taught you there'd be no consequences. That ends now. Mom stood, her voice frantic. Camille, think of what people will say. Think of our reputation. We've worked too hard for this family's name. I cut her off. What about my name, Mom? What about the scars on my body, the migraines I've lived with, the nights I cried myself to sleep? Did that reputation matter then? Her tears fell, but she said nothing. Dad's fists clenched on the table. You'll regret this decision for the rest of your life. I leaned back into the pillows, a strange calm settling over me. No, Dad. The regret was every time I chose silence. And I'm done with regret. The room went quiet again. The kind of quiet that isn't peace but surrender. For the first time they knew I meant it. And for the first time I felt like I wasn't their prisoner anymore. The next morning, the nurse arrived with a slim envelope in her hand. Here you go, Camille. Copies of your scans and reports, just like you requested. My parents froze in their chairs. Dad's face drained of color, Mom's lips pressed into a thin line. I tucked the envelope against my chest, my heartbeat steady. For the first time in my life, I held something they couldn't twist or erase. Proof. Dad leaned forward, his voice sharp and desperate. Camille, listen to me. If you walk out of this hospital with those X-rays, you'll destroy this family. I met his glare without flinching. No, Dad. You destroyed it years ago when you chose silence over protecting me. Claire's voice cracked, her eyes swollen from crying all night. Please don't take this further. I'll change. I'll get help. Just don't tell anyone. Her pleas hit me like déjà vu. I remembered her sobbing the night she threw me into a wall when we were teenagers. I didn't mean it. Please don't tell Dad. And Mom's voice afterward, soothing her, not me. Shoo, Claire. Camille won't say anything. She's strong. Strong had always been their excuse for leaving me unprotected. But today strong meant something different. If you're watching this, have you ever faced betrayal? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Because silence may protect them, but truth is what protects you. The discharge process was quick. The doctor patted my shoulder gently. Take care of yourself, Camille. And don't let anyone minimize what you've been through. I nodded, clutching the envelope as if it were armor. When I stepped outside into the crisp morning air, I felt lighter. My parents trailed behind me, their voices low, frantic. Camille, wait, Mom begged. Let's talk about this. We can fix it. I turned to face them, sunlight breaking over my shoulders. You don't want to fix anything. You want me quiet. But I'm done being quiet. Dad's voice hardened. If you walk away now, don't expect to come back. I smiled faintly. That's the idea. That afternoon, I sent copies of the scans and the doctor's notes to a lawyer I trusted, attaching a brief message. I need to know my options. Within hours, I had a consultation scheduled. For once, the law would hear what my family tried to bury. And when I posted a simple message online, just one sentence, no details, only the truth, silence nearly killed me. The X-rays show what they wouldn't let me say. The responses poured in. Strangers shared their stories, friends reached out in support, and for the first time I didn't feel like I was fighting alone. At night, as I sat by the window with my bandaged head and a healing body, I thought about everything I had lost. My parents' trust, Claire's place as my sister, the illusion of family I'd clung to. But I also thought about everything I had gained, my voice, my freedom, my proof. They had always whispered that I was too sensitive, too dramatic, too weak. But here I was, alive, unbroken, and louder than they ever imagined. My phone buzzed with one final message from Dad. You'll regret this when you're alone. I looked at the glowing screen, then set it face down on the table. Because I wasn't alone. I had the truth. And the truth was louder than all their silence combined. The X-rays told what they hid.